Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I'm gonna line up the. I look really. Let me put a hat on. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm leaving this in.
Okay. Because you cut your hair.
I just have to get suited up.
How big is the video component of this going to be? Because I didn't shave my face.
You're gonna be on YouTube.
Okay, that's fine. It wouldn't be the first time.
Well, I look like this.
Mm.
But I think it's a look.
Yeah.
I'm kind of trying to make that my thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like disorienting to lift my laptop and like see myself move, but it's not moving with my laptop. It's moving with something else.
Mm-hmm.
Can I open Google Chrome at the same time? I can.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. After that, I'm like actually out of breath.
Okay.
Really exciting introduction. Welcome to Runky's Room, the podcast where I, your host Runky, bring people into my room because where else would I do a podcast? Today, my very first guest is Quentin Phillips, who, if you knew me better, which you don't, you would know by his last name that he is my biological and also social brother.
Yep.
Quentin, welcome to Runky's Room.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be here.
Would you like to introduce yourself? Anything you want the viewers to know about you?
I'm Quentin. I'm mostly known for being president of WM Volley B.
Yeah.
At WM Volley B on Instagram. That's the main thing. That's what I spend most of my time on.
Yeah.
And that's all you need to know.
That's it? Just...
I think they'll learn more as we go.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm cool with them having that as the introduction and then figuring out the rest.
I totally buy that. First thing I want to get out of the way, just because it is really special to have my own brother on the podcast, I do need to acknowledge something, which is I'll have to raise my mic volume, but that's fine. Which is the fact that it's really funny to have my brother as like my first guest because it's kind of giving like couldn't pull
a real guest. Yeah.
And that's the vibe for season 1 is like every single one of my guests is just like the most accessible person.
Right.
But I don't think that's a problem because the people in your life that are most accessible to you should be the people that you want to have most on your podcast.
That's so true.
Do you agree?
Well, yeah. I mean, we were talking about Midnight Gospel earlier, and I think that's a great example.
Yeah.
Because I think probably the most impactful episode is one of his family members. I don't want to...
Yes. Watch
spoil.
Midnight Gospel. I've been taking serious notes because as I was preparing, I wanted to try and embody, like, how... I'm going to say Clancy, even though he's Duncan, but...
we'll refer to him as Clancy.
Clancy, for lack of a better word, doesn't really ask questions of his guests. He just engages them in conversation.
Right.
And I feel like in my life as a journalist, and also, which I don't do anymore, but I'm back at it, and also just, like, as an individual, asking questions in conversation can be, like, kind of off-putting or intimidating, depending on how you do it. And I think we often, like, bring more out of each other with statements and personal anecdotes. And that was a lot of what... I was going to say that off camera, but now I'm just admitting it. Right. So I'm trying to, like, emulate his style.
Yeah.
That being said, I did write down the things that I think are... I would like to talk about with you on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because I think this is part of the goal of Runky's Room, is not just to, like... I just want to bring people on and chat with them, people who I like. But at the same time, having a podcast is a good opportunity to talk about things that you kind of just, like, take for granted, and you never really talk about.
Dedicated talking time.
It is. It's dedicated talking time. And, like, if you're with people you like all the time, you're doing things that you're living. And it can be hard to, like, put that stuff down and try and observe your life and digest your life instead. And so in thinking about that, being kind of the goal of the podcast is to, like, observe and unpack things with people, I was wondering, like, what should I talk to you about? And then I was thinking, like, you're literally my brother. And we don't ever, like, think about that. I mean, I guess I do sometimes, but it's like, I've never known life without you because you're older than me. That's a...
And pretty much me neither, because I have, but
Mhm.
I don't have any memories from before you were born. Basically, my first memories...
Like, that's crazy.
Because, like, I remember in psychology we learned about this, but you, like, basically don't retain any memories from your, like, very early childhood. And you were born 3.5 years after me. Yeah. So, basically everything I know, you were at least alive.
Yeah. And like, I think sibling relationships are, like, kind of the most... Like, if we're thinking about things in your life that you take for granted and you don't really, like, observe and think about, I feel like sibling relationships are, like, kind of the biggest one of those, because it's just this person that you, like, you live with, but they're also, like, a homie, but they're also, like, they don't have to be your homie, really, after a certain amount of time. And we're reaching that period where, like, if we didn't want to be homies anymore, we could just... But, like...
Once you hit your 20s especially, like, you get to make that decision about a lot more than just your sibling, but about, like, basically everyone in your life.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for a lot of people, you go to college. Even if you don't go to college, most people will move out.
Right.
And then you get to decide...
Keep going. Just making sure.
You get to decide what relationships are important to you and you want to keep, and which ones are things that you just had because you were growing up in that environment and they were just given to you.
Yeah.
So, sibling relationships are one of those things, I guess, that with all the other ones that you get to make that decision about.
I'm glad that you phrased it like that, because that was actually something that I was curious to talk to you about, which is, like, so I feel like with relationships, there's the ones kind of like a sibling where, like, if you wanted to let it go, it might have to be on purpose, or you'd have to think about, like, do I want this person in my life anymore? And then there's some relationships where it just sort of happens naturally, and you just fall out of touch. And one thing about you that I know our mom wanted me to, like, bring up with you on the podcast is that you've always had such success, not with, like, making choices about who to leave out of your life, but who to bring into your life. Like, you've curated a really wholesome and accepting group of friends that have always been wonderful role models to me, and also just great people to be around and to, like, have in my house. And I wanted to know if, like, did you really think about it when you were, like, when you met people? Like, I'm going to take Bennett as an example here. Like, when you first, I remember you've told a story before about how when you first met Bennett, he was, like, can you tell that story? He was dancing on a...
So that's a big question to ask, and it requires a lot of introspection on my part, because it's not something you really think about, I think, at least actively, especially at that age. Like, when I'm going into middle and high school, really what I'm thinking is, like, how am I going to get through the day? And, like, I don't want to be weird, or I don't want to, like, do something dumb or bad. You know, I just want to go to class, listen, and, like, maybe make friends. But, like, who exactly those people are, I'm usually making that decision based on, like, who do I think I can be friends with, and not, oh, who's going to, like, over the next few years cultivate the best environment for me, you know? I don't think people take that kind of really literal perspective on it. But yeah, the Bennett story. So for podcast people, Bennett is a really good friend of mine. We hang out all the time. He's like sort of been accepted into the family.
He's my third brother, I would say.
Yeah. And I met him in middle school because we went to the same middle school, but I didn't ever really talk to him in middle school. I just sort of knew about him, and the first memory I have of him, and I definitely encountered him before this, probably more than once, but this is the time that I remember, was we had some kind of, like, reading celebration day outside at our school, and it had a bunch of, like, you know, bouncy houses and like all these games and stuff, and they were playing music, and I remember seeing this kid just, like, okay, so the other thing is most people are wearing, like, normal clothes. This is a long time ago, but I'm pretty sure he was wearing, like, a button down. Like, he was wearing, like, pretty nice clothes. I don't know why.
I buy that.
Maybe because it was, like, you know, it was a fun day, and his mom dressed him up that way.
To look nice. That makes sense.
But he was just dancing and having a good time. And in middle school, I was definitely a little more angsty, and I thought that just really rubbed me the wrong way.
You can be honest on this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, I was like, I don't want to say I was like, I hated him.
Yeah.
Because I did.
But you were like, that kid's definitely weird.
Yeah, well, not just weird, but I associated him with the other, like, sporty athlete kids. Because he played soccer with them and stuff. And I just didn't like those kids that much in general. And he had sort of like a mindlessness to what he was doing that I associated negatively with that group.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of wrote him off in my brain as like, I profiled him as one of those people. Yeah. And I was like...
And this memory of him dancing in his nice clothes stuck with you in the, like, lame duck period before he kind of re-entered your life. And he didn't even... He was a friend of a friend in high school, and that's kind of how you got closer.
So, the way we actually met, like, was... I had another really good friend named Benson. Could get confusing.
And does sometimes. Our grandma thinks they're the same person.
Yeah, she's not the only one. He and I were really good friends in middle school because we got along about, like, the nerdy stuff. Right. Like, we used to read Ranger's Apprentice together.
Oh, hell yeah.
And, like, go over the maps in class. And we played a lot of Minecraft. And then he went to a different high school than I did for our freshman year. And he really didn't like the place that he went. I kind of liked the place that I ended up. But one of his few friends there that he liked was Bennett. He met in the same program. And because we always, in the evenings, played video games together, one day he was like, hey, is it okay if this friend I made joins and plays with us? I was like, sure. And it was Bennett. He joined, and I kind of knew who he was from like, my middle school times. But I didn't really... I didn't go into that video game session with, like, prejudice against him like I had in that moment that I described. I think I had...
You had developed a little bit more of your prefrontal cortex, perhaps.
Probably, but also I think I just wasn't thinking about it at the time.
Do you want to know something?
Yeah.
The mics were muted that whole time, but I'm recording on my phone, so...
Okay.
I'll deal with it. I just wanted to admit that, like... I just wanted to put my shortcomings out for the world to...
Are you sure they're still not muted? They're not still muted?
No. I can verify right now that I'm pretty sure that they're not still muted.
Okay. Cool.
And you know what? If they are...
That's alright.
And if we just... That's part of it. Yeah. It's just part of the journey.
Yeah. I can be the one episode with, like, phone audio. That would be fun.
That would be fun. That's why I keep glancing over, because I'm waiting for it to run out of storage.
Oh, do you not get new?
I just didn't bother.
Okay.
We're crossing that bridge when we get to it. I love that thank you for just sort of, like, outing your experience with meeting Bennett. I hope that he can listen to this and relish in the fact that...
Yeah, I mean, he's been over this, but
I want to go back to something that you said about when you were in middle school and you were just trying to survive the day.
Yeah.
And you were thinking about, like, who you can be friends with.
Yeah. Because
I think that's shedding some light on something that I'm realizing now that my pop filter...
It's fine. Yours will be fine, yeah.
It's fine. When I was in middle school, I 100% walked into the building and was like, who's gonna be my best friend for life? I was like, I've seen Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
And... I think I just had a really warped perspective on the world coming from... I went to private school for, like, elementary school, and there were 9 people in my grade. Yeah. For most of the years, it was all girls, or, like, there was, like, one boy. And it, like... I didn't understand how the world was gonna be. So I went to middle school, public middle school, and I was like, I'm gonna pick... like, who's gonna be my guy, because also everyone's gonna love me, and I'm not gonna do anything weird, and that won't be, so that's not even something I'm worrying about. I was just certain that, like, I was gonna be super popular and cool.
Right.
Which is crazy now, because I remember, as a baby gay, wearing button-down shirts every single day. Like, there was a week where I was like, haha, I wore a button-down shirt every day this week. Yeah. And I thought that was, like, funny and quirky and silly.
Yeah.
Oh, just think about that. Like, and I wore
middle school.
I wore a high ponytail every day.
middle school is like the stage where everyone is just super weird.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why, I don't mean this in a creepy way, I love middle schoolers.
Yeah.
I think that they're the coolest because it's like raw, unadulterated vibes.
Yeah.
Just strong, like, aura. And that really inspires me to be the best that I can be. I'm constantly trying to do something fun and exciting and camp with my life and my appearance and, like, my day-to-day activities. Middle schoolers, like, invented that.
Yeah, they do.
But I bring that up because it's, like, that is kind of an answer to my question. Because you've, like, befriended Benson out of just, you know, like, circumstance and similar...
Yeah, I mean, I gotta really, like, go back in my mind to remember exactly... Okay, I actually do remember the time I first encountered Benson.
That would have been a long time ago.
Yes, and I do remember this. And it's actually really similar to the Bennett one.
Really?
Yeah, because so for a little bit more context for podcast people, we lived in England.
My, like, 10 listeners.
Yeah. A lot of them won't know this, though.
Yeah.
We lived in England, and for, like, 3-4 years. And that was, like, for me, from, like, kindergarten to, like, 2nd grade.
Yeah.
So I came back into the 3rd grade here, and that's when I, like, started to try and make friends and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think our mom was worried about me making friends. I don't think I'd ever really struggled with that, but coming back from England,
it's a
having
transition.
the cultural shift. So, and maybe this is just something that moms do in general, but she would, like, make friends with people at our pool and kind of, like, you know, talk to their parents, and, like, I would also talk to their kid, and she would sort of introduce us.
That was actually the goated play, because we've been friends with people from the
they're great,
pool group since then. Like, I was, like,
it's a great community, so I'm not surprised it worked out that way. But I remember walking into... Can I say locations, like, near us? Is that fine?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay. Okay.
I don't expect to get so famous that people start, like, swarming
well, also,
toward
like,
an elementary.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure. I remember walking into...
I just heard Mom sneeze
outside. That was powerful.
Yeah, that was a big one.
I remember walking into the Barnes & Noble attached to Chesterfield Town Center, and like a mom and her son walked out.
Yeah.
And Mom was like, "Oh, you know, it's so good to see you, blah, blah, I met you, I don't remember where.
Yeah.
Quentin, this is my friend. Oh, you guys are going to the same school. You're going to be going to the same school, which was Greenfield at the time. And it was Benson.
Yeah.
And
this is really... I'm going to cry.
In my mind, I saw him, and I was like, I'm never going to be friends with this guy. Because... Not because... I mean, maybe I was just asked.
No, but that's real, because I think anytime... That's my instinct.
Yeah.
Anytime someone introduces me to someone... is as like, oh, you'll be friends. I'm like, fuck no, I'm not.
In my brain, like, everyone that I'd had this experience with was someone I, like, occasionally saw when our parents hung out, and I was, like, never actually invested in being their friend. And there's just this, like, he looked a lot like other people that I had this experience with, you know? And so I was like, I just kind of wrote him off. I was polite, but I was
totally,
like...
I absolutely buy that.
And then we ended up going to class, and I don't remember, like, this is so long ago, it was 4th grade, I don't remember, like, how we started hanging out, but we shared a lot of interests, especially in terms of, like, what we read and what games we played, so.
Yeah. And that can often be a really solid identifier, not always, but of, like, who you're gonna like, because we learn so many lessons from media that I think when people, like, can connect over that, it can be a good indicator of, like, who you're going to be friends with. So you didn't really, like, make a conscious decision to, like, assemble the boys. It just kind of happened, like, lacking metacognition.
For sure, but I think if I played a more active role in anything, it would be holding my friends accountable as we grew up and, like, learned how to navigate the world. But that's also not something that I did, like, I did alone, or I did super proactively.
Yeah.
Like, it's just something that I think we were, like, raised to do in general. And, like, my friends also just are good people. They came from good environments. And, like, we all just sort of created a group culture that I think we like ended up being pretty happy with.
Yeah.
But Benson was very different when I
Yeah.
knew him back then. Like, he was very religious,
Mm-hmm.
and he was conservative, and like we really weren't. We were,
Yeah.
you know, when you're kids, it's not quite the
You
same.
don't really think about it, but
But we did. I mean, when I was in middle school and like late elementary school, I was thinking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we talked about it a lot. Like, he and I would talk about politics all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually he ended up becoming...
And you brainwashed him.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
The school system, the public education system did actually end up brainwashing him into,
into liberalism. Well,
yes. Yeah, I would say liberalism.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah. There was a part of me that wanted you to be like, I was scouting.
No?
I was scouting boys who I thought would be, like, respectful. And I assembled them like the Avengers and, like, created...
Some of them were, like, more like that than others. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, to avoid me just telling 6 stories of how I met people that they'll never know.
Right.
I don't want to explain that in
I
detail.
understand.
But, like, some of the later friends that I started to add on, like, the older I got and the bigger my social group became, the more it became like that. The more, like...
Mm-hmm.
Because I had the ability to be more selective about, like, who I wanted to hang out with.
Yeah. These things are making me reflect on, like, when we were kids, and many of our social outings were the whole family would go to, like, someone in the neighborhood's house for, like, a cookout, and everyone was just sort of conveniently at an age where there were, like, a bunch of other people that were also that age.
Yeah.
So, like... Because I guess it's just really common to, like, have kids and then have more kids, like, approximately 4 years after.
Yeah.
So then I had, like, my own cohort, my age, you had your own.
Yes.
And then the adults would, like, go and hang out. And I'm thinking now about how, like, I hated that. Mm-hmm. And I would always go and, like, chill with the adults because I was, like...
Yeah.
They're, like, so much funnier and cooler, and, like, I didn't know what they were saying. And I kind of regret that now. Because I think I would have really valued being friends with, like, people my age and, like, you. And oh my god, I always wanted to. More so than the adults, I wanted to hang out with you and your friends. Mm-hmm. And that's just been true, like, my whole life. And I don't know if that's because when I was a kid and, like older kids were, like, cool and, like, swag and I wanted to be them. Or if I just liked who you guys were more than, like, the people my own age, but I was always trying to get away from like my age group and going towards something that I didn't really ever belong in. And I think it would have been valuable for me to be like, you know what, we are all in the same first grade class, and we actually do have a lot in common, and we should play with these Nerf guns.
Well, you know, it's interesting to me that you describe it that way, because from my perspective, like, I didn't think of it as being that segregated.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of, the way I remember it is, like, we all just hung out together. And, like, some of the games that we played, like, you know, there were certain locations where this is, like, more true than others, like at the pool or, like, the good ones or whatever. But, I never really thought about it like, oh, the older kids are going to hang out and do this, and the younger kids are going to do that. Like, I remember a lot of blending. But maybe that's just because I had more, like, social credit as an older kid, so I didn't have to worry about that dynamic.
That's possible. I think it's also, like, we're both describing things that we went through at the same time in ways that are kind of showing me that, like, I think I've just, my, like, outlook on social interactions, like, I'm predisposed to think of it in a bigger context or in a more extreme context than what it actually is. And, like, that's why, like, when I went into middle school or whatever, I was like, I'm gonna find my friends for life and, like, figure out what I'm doing. And I was on, like, a mission, and, like, as a kid, I was kind of doing the same thing. Whereas you just didn't think about it that way. Which, and like, I think that there is kind of a lesson to that, like, I don't know, I don't want to, like, speculate on my childhood and be like, what would it have been like if I had just been chill?
Yeah.
But, because that's not helpful.
Right.
But, like, it makes me wonder if that has impacted me, that, like, difference between us, if that's, like, how we have always been, and if it, like, has impacted my friendships to be trying to, like, satisfy some greater purpose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm 100% sure that it has. Because you can't have, like any kind of... I should have turned this off earlier.
Yeah, fuck you, get on my podcast.
Wow, it's kind of embarrassing that I got one... Anyway. In the
this whole time? Yeah. It's been...
35 minutes? Maybe more
25 minutes?
Okay. Sorry. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. I'm sure it has impacted it in some way. But, like... I gotta think about how to say this correctly. In the way that I mean it. I think, like, passing judgment on, like, the way that you navigated that, like, probably isn't the right perspective.
I'm trying to steer away from that. Because people talk a lot about healing your inner child. Mm-hmm. I like to kind of chastise her and wonder why she's like that, which is completely not the point at all.
Right.
So I've been trying to be like, it was what it was.
Yeah.
And now I take what she's given me and like walk into the next chapter of my life with the knowledge that I've gained from her. But I still it's something I'm working on. So I don't want to like root that out, but that's always something I wonder is like, do other people also go through life like this, or am I just full of stress?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
You're enlightening me a little bit.
I think, like, well, I hear you navigate that question so often, and it makes me wonder if, like, because I think it's good to, think about your... Still on? I think it's good to, like, think about where you've come from, like, why you are certain ways in order to, like, manage it or to, like, understand yourself better. But, like, it's also so hard to constantly criticize yourself.
Yeah.
Especially if you, like, incorporate criticizing your younger self as well. And, like, I just think... finding that balance between introspection and, like, too much self-criticism is hard. I'm
never gonna get an answer about, like, how things might have been different. And I still had a good time. Like, even when I was avoiding other kids and sitting with the adults, I was enjoying myself. And so, like, I think I would rather relish in the joy of that memory than, like, be annoyed at myself for, like, having missed out on social development that's now, like, impacting me. And that brings me to an interesting thing that I had written down here, which is that in therapy the other week, my therapist was asking me about what it is that I think makes up a person, and or like what is an identity. Like, if we're talking about, like, you're gonna become who you are in college or whatever, what is that? Like, what is who you are? Which I think is a really interesting question, and I struggled to answer that. So I listed a bunch of things. So I think that's the only possible way to answer that is like identity is comprised of, like, so many things. Like, I think I said, like, your experiences, but also your personality and the things you like, the things you dislike, your sense of humor. And I listed so much that when she was repeating back to me what I said, she ended up, like, adding in things that I might not have actually said. And one of the things that she said was the people you know. And I thought that was so interesting. Yeah. It made me wonder if, like, she really thought that I said that, or maybe I did say that. Like, it was an interesting moment of, like, my lapse in memory and, like, existing in this liminal, like, time in this conversation. Or you might have said
something, like, similar that she, like, just changed the phrasing.
Yeah. But it made me think, like, is that a part of your identity. I mean, I think it has to be, but I wrote that down as something I wanted to bring up with you because your sibling, like your family, I've never wanted to like attach that to the like box of things that make an identity because that's not true for everyone.
Yeah.
But maybe it is like.
I would argue that it is.
I think it has to be. I think you're touched so much that you become a mosaic of everyone around you. Yeah. But
I mean, it's kind of, again, another big question.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Like, just trying to determine what identity is.
And you don't have to tackle that whole thing, but it made me think about, like, to what extent you are part of how I think of myself.
Yeah, and I think, like, the best way I can engage with that thought is through, like, thinking about my identity and if I associate who I know with myself, and I think I strongly do.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, I would say a lot of, like, the reason why I do things has to do with who I know in my community, you know?
Yeah.
I think people in general are just very community-oriented creatures.
Yeah.
And so trying to divorce who you are from who you know just seems like doesn't really make sense.
And I think the same thing with experiences, because I remember when I was making that initial list, I was kind of hesitant to include experience and memory in my definition of identity, because I keep trying to like give people ways to detach themselves if they want to from their experiences and their family and their like whatever, but you can't really.
Yeah, I mean, you can, like, you have some control in defining who you are, or definitely how you see yourself.
Yeah.
But, like, how you got there is just so, like, there are things that you just can't change or can't deny exist, you know?
Right.
And, like, even if you want to be a separate person from your family or something, like,
the fact that you want to be that.
Yeah, that journey is still part of you, you know? So.
Yeah. The desire to detach, I think, shows you something about yourself. Yeah. And that was a really enlightening. I'm not going to get into what I talked to my therapist about, but that specific, like, the concept of, like, people you know and your experiences and your exterior world being a part of who you are, I think really taught me to stop trying to divorce myself from my life and, like, stop chasing an impossible question of, like, who I am without my surroundings, because, like, that is an impossible question.
Right.
But it kept bringing me back to, like, having a sibling and how that relationship is so, like, fundamentally a part of me.
Yeah.
And I was actually, like, writing this question down as I was rewatching The Midnight Gospel to, like...
Yeah.
And it was the episode where... I don't remember which one it is, but it's the one with the soul prison and, like, the soul bird.
Yeah,
And it's all about how, like, we are, like, a web... Like, life is a big net,
right? And
the important part are the, like, connections, and how you and I don't really want to get into, like, ego death or any of that.
Yeah, because that was very much about how, like, we are, like, one system, and each of us is a piece of that system.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, that kind of looked at it through the lens of, like, hurting someone else is, like, you're just a piece of the system damaging another piece of the same system.
Yeah,
you know,
and
it's like
it comes back to you.
Yeah.
But because I was rewatching that while I was thinking about this, it made me look at it in a different light, where instead of thinking about, like, if you pull on one, like, intersection of a net, you pull on the whole thing.
Yeah.
How no one gives a fuck about the air in the squares between the net.
Right.
And we like to think of ourselves as that. But, like, that's kind of irrelevant to the existence of the net.
Right.
And who you are. This is like...
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm articulating this.
No, I understand, but, like, where are we going with this thought?
I'm just going.
Okay.
It made me think about how you just gotta accept your life as existing in a net and not in the air.
Yeah.
And that's my wisdom that I'm dropping.
No, that's so real. And yeah.
Thank you for coming to my podcast. And I'm not done, but
okay.
Can you tell I've had? This isn't even. I drank all of this, and then Dad went to Starbucks and he didn't want his cold brew, and then I poured the cold brew in here. I'm just still going. So that's kind of an explanation for what's happening here. I want to shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
I want to go back to something that we just never like thought about this. Mm-hmm. We used to have a nickname for each other. It used to be weird.
Yeah.
For me to call you Quentin.
I call you Daspo.
That's where I was going with
this.
I called you Daspo so much.
Yeah.
That like your name was kind of foreign to me.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
Because first of all, like they don't even know this. Runky, should I even say that? Runky is not my name.
Yeah.
I mean it is in like an astral
I would
sense.
say it is your name. You can you can have more than one name. That's
exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah.
But that's not like my government name.
Right.
And so it's been I've had so many like again, like self-criticizing observance of the past kind of things about how I have like a lot of different names that I go by. And I was thinking about Dasbo and how like, you know how weird it is for people to have the same name that they call each other, but no one else calls them that?
Do you know why? Do you know where that comes from?
It was like it was like something about German.
Yeah. So, there's actually interesting things here.
Yeah.
So...
You say that like you're shocked, but it's all part of my master plan. This is my podcast.
So, I guess this must have started when I started German, which is like...
6th grade.
6th grade, yeah.
I know you like a book.
Yeah, well, yeah. And the interesting thing about... This gets into gender, because...
Oh, hell yeah.
Do you,
oh my god! Keep talking.
Do you know about, like, gendered nouns in
German? There's, like, 4.
Yeah. Well, so, der is, like, the masculine one.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't want to, I didn't want to call you my sister.
Yeah.
Or, like, my brother. So, das is the neutral.
Uh-huh.
So, I went with das bro, is what I selected for the...
Is your, like, word for...
was my association of you.
Yeah.
So, it was, like...
I never knew that.
Yeah, I had a feeling you didn't know that, which is why
Were you saving it for the podcast?
No, I did remember wanting to talk to you about this at some point, but I guess I just forgot or didn't really feel like it. But.
For the podcast.
Yeah.
For the viewers here, if you know me, you'll know that I am non-binary actually.
Yeah. Which was not a thing at the time.
Was not a thing at the time. I mean, that was a thing. Like, I had a actually very easily identifiable moment of gender crisis in, like, sophomore year.
Of high school. Yeah.
And we were calling each other Daspo.
Many years.
Like, you were in 6th grade, I must have been in, like, 2nd? 3rd grade?
Yeah. And they're, like, there might be nuance here that I don't know about German. Mm-hmm. But at the time, when I was a 6th grader German student, the way that I saw those things was definitely Das is the neutral.
Yeah.
You know, Schwester.
Well, it's a similar thing. Are the 4? It's like masculine, feminine, neutral.
Like sorta, but like there's really like 3. There's like die, der, and das.
I think this is like feminine. Russian.
Yeah.
Because this is a really interesting thing about... I'm just going to drop a Russian fun fact. If you don't mind, it's actually my podcast, so I can do whatever I want. But
you need to put like the little box at the bottom.
Asterisk Russian interlude. There's also kind of 4 genders in Russian. There's masculine, feminine, neuter, which is fucking hilarious. Neuter, what? And plural, and like plural.
Yeah, that's how it works in German, too.
That's what I was thinking. But neuter is reserved for inanimate objects. You can't have a person...
That's not... I don't think that's...
So, like, we had a conversation about that in my Russian class, where we were talking about how Russians are approaching the question of gender-neutral pronouns, and we were like, they have one! They have a gender-neutral pronoun! And then but it would be like calling a person it,
Yeah.
which people do, but is not what everyone wants.
Right.
So
okay. I'm not.
That's the end of my segment on that.
I don't know enough German to comment on the like how this relates to like the whole movement of non-binary people in German language.
Right.
But like I don't think I need to emphasize like what's significant about that.
Yeah. That is so validating for me.
Yeah.
That you didn't want like do you remember conceiving of that consciously, or did it just
I definitely did, because I was like, I mean, it became Das Bo, which became more of like its own name instead of like
it was kind of a proper noun eventually, but
like I chose to use those. That was definitely a conscious decision.
Yeah.
I honestly I don't remember why like fully. I can't like go back and like have my full internal dialogue about why I ended up doing that. But I do remember like thinking about it.
Wow, it's just really good.
I know, isn't that crazy?
It's really good content for my
podcast. I've thought about how, like, which of these things came first.
Right.
Did, the way that you were treated as a young person, like, influence your gender identity?
Yeah.
Or did you have some kind of internal, I'm sure you've thought about it. Do you have some kind of internal, like, gender, like, identity that clashed with, like, what was presented to you?
Yeah. Well, so we're gonna get into it, because this was actually there's gonna be a gender episode with someone else, but a teaser trailer for that is that I've never had a conscious like I don't really think about it that much, and that's why like I use multiple pronouns.
Yeah.
Like it's something that I kind of had a momentary epiphany about, which came around because I used to have a lot of trouble remembering what I looked like, and I guess I still do kind of, but not as much. And there was a moment where did you ever make a little avatar of yourself on that cutie little app that was like viral on TikTok for people to make like profile pictures of themselves, and it would be this cute drawing of you?
I think so, but I did something even more narcissistic that we can maybe get into later about profile pictures. Narcissistic probably isn't the right word. But,
please share. I don't even I don't care what I was saying.
I paid an artist to create a impression of my face for profile pictures.
That's iconic.
Yeah. It's on my phone.
We call that iconic in this industry.
I went through a phase where I really enjoyed, and I still do, but I just don't have as much money now. Or like,
you enjoy paying artists.
I love commissioning amateur artists. Yeah.
I'm not gonna fucking get it. It's up there.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Oh.
He commissioned art of us as Link.
Yeah, both of us as Link.
I'll in another episode I'll show it. But it's just a really
You just
good...
keep talking.
Okay, go for it. It's a really good gift.
Can I...
Yeah. I have a really hard time giving gifts as shot. Because it's just not one of my love languages.
This camera is like
I can show it.
Yeah, so this is me, and I'm the Twilight Princess Link, because when I was a kid, my dad played this with me and like sort of showed me how to play games with this game. And then years later, when Runky, should I use Runky?
Yeah.
Okay. When Runky started playing games with me, they played Breath of the Wild, and this is like the
Breath of the Wild Link, and it's him standing in the back, like fondly looking at me and being like my mentor.
I thought it was super cool, and I really liked the artist, so I wanted to like.
What a wonderful gift that is, because if I want something for myself, I put it in a spreadsheet, and then when I get the money for it, I buy it. So like gift giving has never really been. Yeah, I have a hard time. I'm glad
that you liked it, because
that was really solid.
I love like the art. This is so sidetracked from the point where
I don't care.
But using art for gifts, I think, is awesome.
Yes,
I wish that I was as gifted as some of these artists, or I wish that I like had the skills that these artists have that like do this stuff, so I could do it myself.
Yeah.
Because I understand that like paying someone else to make a present for somebody isn't quite as
You're
nice
inserting
as...
a middleman that kind of takes
Yeah.
some of the sentiment out of it. Yeah.
But also I want them to, like, actually like it, and I want them to...
know what it is.
Yes, and I think the meaning of it is better if it's a quality piece of art, you know? And also I like supporting these, like, artists that do commissions like this.
Yes.
Like, I think it's great that they get to do that.
So around how old were you when you commissioned a profile picture of yourself?
I can check this. There's a timestamp. Like,
I'll
I can
put
look.
it in the... You have to go... if you're listening on Spotify, you have to go to YouTube to see how old he was, because I'll put it in the thing.
I mean, I could look right now on my phone.
No, I don't care.
Okay.
That much.
I think I was, like, 17, 18. This is recent.
That is
Relatively.
how old I am.
I'm 21. I'm almost 22.
Mm-hmm.
For podcast people.
Yeah.
So this was, like...
I'm
4 or 5 years
18.
ago. Yeah. And... I don't know why I did it, except that I just liked buying art.
And also, like, it's iconic. Have I mentioned that was actually iconic of you?
Yeah, I never ended up using it because...
Bruh.
Well, because I thought it was, like... I didn't think it looked like me. Like, I thought it was awesome
That's
art.
the tea.
And I thought it sort of, brought some characteristics of me out. But it looked too much like I got somebody to make really flattering art of me and then use that as my profile picture. Because it implied that that's how I see myself.
Right.
And I think I have a more nuanced perspective of myself than it looked like. It was very flattering.
I swear to God, if you show me and it's like just what you look like, I'm
no, it was like, I feel like I have to pull this up.
Yeah,
Can
I think you do have to pull it up. We're running out of time, so while you're talking about this, I'm gonna say my thing. Which is
do you want to do an hour? Because I can keep going.
Yeah.
I can keep going. Bennett doesn't have to.
Yeah,
Bennet's coming to, yeah.
Okay, he can come say hi, but...
Yeah. Is he giving me his own episode?
This is... Well, I think I asked him and he said no. Was that him?
This is actually so funny.
Oh my God!
I can see what time this was. This was... Oh no, I was older than that. I was...
Oh my God!
See? Like...
Oh no!
See? Like, that's not what I look like.
The lips?
I know. Like...
Dude,
I'm
show them.
I'm like a handsome Disney character.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can really... Can you see on there? There's it just here.
I'll put... You can text it to me. I'll put it in
Yeah, they need to see it, like...
Yeah,
see it.
quality
For people
image.
listening audio-wise, how would you describe this?
Imagine if Prince Eric from Ariel had more lip.
Yeah, he's just
meteor
like...
lips.
It's like, kind of has, like, the same... Like, if you described someone to, like, a police sketch artist...
Yeah.
And you described, like,
you had
my
only
features...
seen that person on stage playing Prince
Yes.
Eric. Yeah.
It would look... Then it would be perfect. I would be like, oh, that's the guy.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But I couldn't make this my profile.
No, that's... You're too shiny. There's, like...
Yeah, because
real shine in the hair.
And, like, the way that they gave me, like...
Collarbone.
This, like, low-cut shirt, collarbone... Yeah, it's like...
They were slutting you out a little bit.
I know. Which is crazy. Which... I'm trying to put my mind in the perspective of the artist.
Right.
And I think, like, they were like, oh, this person wants art of themselves. I should make them look as
hot.
good as I can. You know?
Yeah. Which was good business for them.
Yeah, and I actually really... I talked to that artist, like, over the messaging, like, Etsy messaging thing for a while, and they were really cool.
Well, good for them. And they got their money.
Yeah.
It's water under the bridge.
I got that, and I enjoyed the process of, like, seeing it come out and everything, but I was like, I just can't make this my profile picture.
That's very valid.
Yeah.
So, imagine there's like an AI, like, you put in your little features and it makes you a little drawing of yourself. This exists. And my D&D party was making our people, our characters in it. And then one of my friends was just making each other. Yeah. Because they, like, it was so popular that the app would, like, crash all the time. So they would, like, they had it open. They were like, I'm just churning out profile pictures for you guys. Yeah. And they sent me the one of myself. Mm-hmm. And I'm not, like, most dramatic moment of my life, like, most overreactive moment I think of which is crazy because I have a flair for the dramatic. I lost my shit because I was like, who is this chick?
Is it, like, accurate? I'm confused.
It's not. It's like a little cartoon drawing.
Oh, okay.
But it looked like a woman.
Oh.
And, which is absolutely how I presented and present now a lot of the time. But not in the way, it like, really distanced me from myself. So I went on this, like, journey of, like, trying to create profile pictures of myself. Ironic, kind of a weird, like, yin to your yang. But I couldn't do it. And I would, like, make one, and I would, like, look in the mirror, and I'd look at the person, and then I'd put my hair up, and I'd look at the thing, and then I'd give it more masculine features. Yeah. And I was like, wait, what? And I talked to my friend about it, because I was like, I just felt really weird, and I didn't know what was happening. And shout out to Aspen for seeing me through this, because he was like, that's a symptom of gender dysphoria. Yeah. And I was like, oh my god.
Is this, like, what you're talking about? You said sophomore year. Yeah. Like it's funny that we got full circle to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is what happened. And so I had this, like, moment where I was like, oh, well, then I'm just not quite a woman. That's what it is.
Right.
And as soon as I made that change, it was like things started falling into place for me, and I just felt better, and I felt like I had more of a grip. And it, like, solved a lot of, like, other things that I'll get into on the gender episode, but it never was this, like with liking girls, that was, like, a progression of events. Like, I, in elementary school, talked about, like, marrying women, and, like, then very famous moment in Runky lore, I went ice skating, and there was a girl ice skating, and I had, like, my first, like, crush on a girl, and then I was, like that had, like...
I never knew about that.
Seeds. I can tell you that, that's a funny story, but I'm saving it. I had kind of a progression to get there. With gender, it was, like, this moment, and I knew about it, and I was okay with it, and I didn't really need to think about it more, and it was done. So hearing that, like, maybe there was more to it that other people saw. Yeah. Like, no one's ever expressed that to me before. Yeah. People have always just been like, cool, I'll use the pronoun, and never expressed that, like... Yeah. Maybe they I mean... had a hint. So the Das Bo thing, that's why that, like, just really seriously blew my mind. Yeah. Is that, like, you just kind of... you must have just known me.
Well, I'm your brother. I mean, like...
That... Damn it! Yeah, you are!
Like... I think, you know, there's a lot of expression within, like, the gender binary that a lot of people work with. So, like, for me, it was never like, you're going to be non-binary at some point, or you're going to have some, like, gender, like, maybe you just, like, you're a person in my mind. Right. And, like, how you want to fit into this world of gender was, like, it, you know, I could see it going several ways. Right. But when I was creating that name to describe you, it's just, like, what I felt like was most...
Right. Yeah. And that, I think, is a really wholesome understanding of the gender problem. And that's what I think I've expressed to people before, because I have a lot of friends who are sweet and loving, and when I've told them about my pronouns, are really worried about the extent to which they use she, even though that's a pronoun that I accept. I have a lot of friends that are like, that don't want to, like, are worried if they use she too much, which is a really considerate thing to be concerned about. But I always tell them that it's, like, it's about understanding who you are as an individual. Yeah. And if you see me as an individual, right, it doesn't matter to me what pronouns I hear a lot. And I think that that's not true for everyone. In my personal experience of gender, that's how it is. Yeah. But the knowledge that they can be, like, a affirming pronoun for me, and, like, your understanding of that and your knowledge of my identity is what matters. Yeah. And so, like, that aspect of the Das Bo story, I think, really makes sense, because it was always about, like, the individual. Now, I don't know when the hell I decided that you were also Das Bo, because that's weird. I'm gonna say it. Like, getting a nickname and being like, I'm just gonna return it.
Well, so, like, the interesting... I think I used it in the plural before. Like, Das Bros. Okay. So, I think, like, that sort of makes both of us a Das Bo. You know?
Yeah, and so I picked up on the linguistic symbolism there.
Right, because, like, I in my mind, you were my Das Bro.
Yeah.
Right? And that makes us
Das Bros.
Das Bros, because I'm not going to change the Das to Dare for both of us. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You know? Actually, it probably make more sense.
You were already bending the rules for DOS, so, yeah.
So I think that's how that happened.
Uh-huh.
So it's more like, instead of, you know, it got interesting because it sort of became like a proper noun for you.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the whole calling both of us being that, I think, is more of like how I would call someone bro, and they would call me bro.
Right.
And we're bros.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just, it stuck with me that, like, it's with the exception of improper nouns like bro and dude.
Yeah.
Are those I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, right.
You'd rarely have the same name for two people. That gives us two names because we have the same last name.
Yeah.
So we were just like so linked that like we gave each other. Well, you gave it to me, but then I kind of returned it. We had the same name. Like that's.
Yeah.
I don't know when we stopped saying that.
I think maybe when I went to college, or maybe sometime in high school.
It must have been, like, late high school. Like, maybe when I went to high school, but...
Yeah, because, like, as we get older, like, we spent less time together just because we started having more life things to do.
Yeah.
And, like, especially when I moved out.
Right.
That's, like, when it really, you know...
Mm-hmm.
But I think in my mind, there's still definitely Das Bo.
Yeah. I mean, it's still alive.
Yeah.
But I think I still, like, sign Christmas presents like that.
Yeah.
Like, to Das Bo from Das Bo.
Like, I see it, I'm
hilarious.
immediately like, yeah. Like, it doesn't... I'm not like, whoa, that's weird that they've, like, chosen to use that again.
That's so
That's an old name.
Yeah.
No, it never occurs to me, so...
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up, because I also... This is going to be, like, kind of the last segment, because we're almost at an hour, but...
Okay.
It reminded me of when we were younger and played a lot of League of Legends, among other things. Mm-hmm. We had like a big man cave that was also my dad's office. Yeah, I miss it every day.
Yeah, that was a great spot.
I cry real tears about that fucking... It was this huge room, carpet, 2 computers, TV.
Yep. It's like the best room ever.
Oh, and we just...
Beanbags. Yeah. Which should be in our house more now.
We were just in there all the time. It's never been the same. And so, like, my dad would be working at one computer, and you would be playing games. Yeah. Leaving me free to watch.
I also, like, watched a lot of TV in there, I think.
We did. I mean, I watched so much Adventure Time. Back when Adventure Time was on Netflix, which put it back.
That TV, like, spawned so many of my, like...
You started Naruto on that TV.
Well, yes, but first started Bleach on that TV. Bleach was, like, the first, like...
Yeah.
That was, like, the most developmentally significant show that I watched when I was, like, 14. That, like, really just impacted the trajectory of, like, things that I consumed for a long time.
Forever, even?
And even before that, which might have even connected to or led to Bleach, was Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Because we got it from Family Friends.
The first episode of Doctor Who I ever saw was at our family friend's house. It was season 4, the Pompeii episode.
I thought it was the Adipose episode. Because I was there for this.
Yeah.
I might be.
Both?
I think we did watch both. I just can't remember which one was first.
Because the Adipose one...
I remember the Pompeii one, too.
The Adipose one comes before the...
Yeah, we might have just called it Tail End.
Yeah.
That one, I'm not sure, but...
Very good memory, though, to correct my fact there, because Doctor Who was 100% the most developmentally important piece of media I've ever consumed.
Yeah.
I've seen it so many times.
Right.
But I remember one time, we would just spend a lot of time in there, and that was when we called each other Despo, which is, like, how I picked up on this, remembered this story. Because Despo is, like, the perfect kind of, like, phoneme. It's not. It's 2 phonemes. But it was this beautiful Despo, like, if you just needed to make noise, which we did constantly. Yeah. And I remember one time you were playing games or something, and we were just, like, scatting.
Yep.
And we did that all the time.
I remember Dad being that's what I was going to say. I also have this memory.
Dad lost his shit.
Yeah.
Which I would too, if I'm working.
He wasn't mad, but he was just like...
stop making noise.
Yeah. I remember this too.
And
it literally didn't even like occur to me that I was making noise until he said that.
It lodged in my brain. It's like, it felt to me that for my whole life I had a shoulder dislocated, and him saying that popped it into place.
Yeah.
Because I had never thought about making noise either.
He also makes noise all the time.
Not like we were.
No, that was definitely like, but we were kids.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And
But we got it from him.
True.
Mom doesn't make noise all the time like that.
Yeah. But and not like, I don't know how to describe accurately to the listeners here what that was like, but it was like, yeah, that's bo.
Yeah, just random little
we
singing.
had, or like picking whatever song, probably by the script, that we were like really into at the time, and replacing all of the lyrics with Despo.
Oh my god. So that just reminded me of
the If You See K.
Yes. Were you in the car from when this was explained to me?
You use. Oh my god! I have something. So there's a song we loved. We loved. It's a great song. I still love that song. As kids, we loved the script.
Yeah.
And
that
there's
one
a
particular
song, one particular album with Halo on it.
Yeah.
That.
Rusty Halo. Rusty.
Isn't that my Rusty Halo? Yeah. The song "If You See K," which is a cover.
Which is the word "if" and then "you"
Y-O-U. If you see the girl, if you see Kay, will you tell her that I love her? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we had this obsession with. You claimed once that this wasn't true, but it's real. Where we would.
No, I don't remember this at all. But this could be so funny.
We would mute. We would mute Tom and Jerry.
Oh no, this is I do remember you claiming this.
We would mute Tom and Jerry.
This is not real.
It is. I remember.
I just don't remember that. Because you said this before.
I know. I can't. I'm a creative person.
Yeah.
I'm not creative enough to make this up.
I think that you did this alone. I mean, you have to say what it is though.
You would mute Tom and Jerry and play music over it, and Quentin was like, "This is so cold. Like, this is so sick."
So. Bro. I still think this would be fun now if we did it.
Yeah.
So, like, if we did do it, that's so valid.
I think we should do it, and it's going to remind you that this was your idea.
I just don't remember this.
Because we play, like, Rusty Halo over Tom and Jerry.
So, what I remember is us pretending to be pigs, playing, you remember this? We used to have, like, it would be like a pig fight.
Oh, fuck, I do remember.
Yeah. And it would be that one Silver Sun pickup song. And we'd, like, charge each other on all fours.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what the song was called.
No, it was...
I can find it.
It might have been Knights of Sidonia by Muse.
No, so that happened too. I literally remember exactly. It starts with this electric guitar, like, sort of like, rumbling. I can pull it up right now and I can play in this microphone.
Do it.
Where we'd play this and we'd, like...
And the intro would get us, like, riled up.
Yeah,
and we'd be on all four, like, pigs, like, snarling. And then we'd run at each other, and that was the game.
It was in Carnivas, I think. It was,
Anyway, I need to... While you're finding it, I'm going to finish the If You See K story. Okay.
It's this or Secrets this year. It was this part. There's this part. It's got a long intro. It'll start. It's like You remember this? Is it gonna...
My, like, pig
I'm, like, ready to go. Yeah, that song.
Yeah. That was weird. We were really weird. I know kids are weird in general, but
that was a weird one.
We were super weird.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
As you've always been my best friend.
What was the FUCK one? Yeah.
We love the song If You See K by the script. Mm. And our dad would tell us, I think it was because we played it over Tom and Jerry. I don't we muted Tom and Jerry and played If You See K, but if that's not true, then fucking sue me. But whatever it was, we were playing it, and Dad was like, don't play that song anymore. And we were like, why? And he was like, because it spells out a bad word. And we were like, what bad word?
That's so interesting you say this, because I have a different memory.
I could be wrong. What I do remember is that we got the UCK part.
Yeah.
We didn't get the if. We couldn't figure out what the if was supposed to be. And Dad said... It's a word that Mom says a lot when she's driving.
No, I do remember that. Yeah. I remember that, but I just remember this a little differently. But
we were in the car.
I remember, so the way I remember it is that we had one of my friends in the car, Matthew Burton.
Uh-huh.
And I put the song on because I was
blasting his full name.
It's fine.
It is fine.
I hope that this comes around to him at some point.
I know. I hope I get really famous.
I wonder if he remembers this. It would actually be funny.
He might, yeah.
And he was like, do you
understand what's happening
Yeah, do you
here?
understand what this is?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what do you mean? And then that's what snowballed it all.
Yeah.
In my memory, but I don't know.
Because Dad was just, so I guess he just didn't care.
Yeah.
He was like, they're stupid. They won't figure out that the if
we were like old enough, I think, that it was okay.
Yeah.
That just awakened another crazy memory.
Me too, but you go first.
This one's kind of almost problematic. This one's scary.
I'm excited.
When I was
I'll just bleep like one really long bleep if it's problematic.
Yeah, we'll see. You can look at it both. I remember getting off the bus when I was like in 4th grade, going to our old house.
Yeah.
And I was like super young,
mm-hmm.
and bad words were just not something that like they were so taboo. You know?
Yeah.
And I was listening to "Slow Dancing in a Burning Room" by John Mayer in my wired Apple headphones. And yeah, like this. And there's a line where he says, now I think of this very differently now.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you'll be a bitch because you can.
Mm-hmm.
And I was singing along to the song, and I remember it so clearly, like walking down our street, and singing, and I always didn't sing that part because I was like, oh, bad word. But I got to it and I sang it, and I felt so powerful because I said the word bitch.
You said bitch,
and I was like, whoa,
yeah, I'm a man.
I can say, I know.
In that moment, your balls dropped.
Yeah, literally, because I was like that age. I was like 11 or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude. And like I rode that high for like a day. I remember that so clearly. And I just remember that because of like this what we were talking about.
Yeah.
But I didn't like process who John Mayer was or what he was saying.
This is not that. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's not problematic. But
yeah, I just thought that was like that just dredged up that from deep in my brain, that like weird kind of coming of age moment.
Yeah, it is. Saying bad words is such a like.
Because now I say them all the time.
I used to curse. Like, you think I curse a lot now, which I think I curse more than the rest of our family.
I think I probably curse the most.
We'll just have to count.
From this podcast.
Oh my god. Many. I swear it's me.
It might be, because...
I used to curse way more than I do now. I just never did it at home. Because they would let you curse and they wouldn't let me curse. And I was like...
I don't remember that.
You were allowed to say fuck. And anytime I said fuck, it'd be like language...
I don't remember saying fuck ever. At home.
On God, bro.
I trust you. I just didn't...
I remember being like, what the hell? Like, do I just have to be as old as him?
Probably.
To, like, make it count? So anytime I wasn't at home, like when I was with Jude or, like, any of my friends...
Oh, I see.
Dude, we were, like, sailors.
Jude's like that, too.
And Jude's always been like that, but we were really, like... There's videos of me out there, Kesha, like... out of this world... And then I just had to, like, grow into it. But I was in, like, probably 5th grade or 6th grade. And because I was, like, feeling it.
Yeah, I'm still working on that. Like, because sometimes I'm in settings where I should not be saying those words. And, like, I don't even register that it's a word that, like,
some people aren't okay with.
Yeah.
I know. I have that problem with cunt.
Yeah, I mean...
Cunt is the one word I can't say in this.
But almost, it's, like, better.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's a reclaiming kind of situation, whereas, like, me just screaming fuck when there's, like, kids there at, like, a volleyball game or something...
Right.
...is, like, not okay. Like, I can't do that, you know?
You working with children and having this problem is really different.
It's not even hard when I'm with the kids.
Yeah.
It's when I'm in a place with my friends and kids are there. Yeah.
I get to do anything at my job because of the rampant, like, cursing, smoking next to open wires, like OSHA violations left and right.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem. But I can see how it would be.
Yeah.
We do have to wrap it up.
Okay.
Because my computer's gonna die.
Yep.
But the last, and also you have to go. Oh fuck! I'm so sorry. It's 4:18.
I don't think he's here yet.
He's not even here, bro.
I can check. Maybe he's just sitting on our couch, but
it's possible. But before we end.
Oh yeah, he's here.
Sorry, bro.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We have plenty.
My bad. You can get him to come up and say hi if you want.
No, we have plenty of time. It's fine.
I just want you to look into the camera, and I'm gonna take my hat off.
This one?
And we're gonna settle this.
This one? Wait, this camera?
Yeah, your camera.
Okay.
Do we look alike? Because I've never thought that we do.
Should we do side profile?
Yes.
You're doing left or right?
Right.
Okay. Back. I think we have similar features.
I think we do too, but like, I look crazy without this hat on.
I think you look normal. Also, our hair is becoming increasingly similar.
True.
Our hair type is different, but like our style is getting.
Yeah.
The more I grow.
I need it to be long and blonde again, so I can just be distant. Oh, nice. Okay. Anything you would like to leave the listeners/viewers with?
Can I like do shout outs?
Yeah.
WM Volleyball on Instagram.
Oh my.
If I'm ever back here, I would love to talk about volleyball.
Yes. You should come. You'll be back.
There's so much to say
I'm
about that.
a lot.
And I think everyone listening, if I can leave you with one thing to think about, it would be if you're looking for a community, to consider joining your local volleyball club, because I think it's one of the best ways to get involved with a group activity.
That's so wholesome and valid and real.
And you should follow WM Volleyball on Instagram.
Yeah.
And there's lots of cool stuff that you can see on that. And we'll do giveaways and fun stuff that you can win things, like a car. Not really, not a car.
Yeah.
But
this is now Mr. Beast. For every new follower WM Volleyball gets, they're planting a tree.
Yeah. Yep.
So
that would actually be really cool. That's actually a really good idea. I might.
Hey,
okay.
That's what I'm here for.
There's another thing I say. Oh, I probably shouldn't say this one.
Do it. I'll bleep it.
Yeah, I think it'd be funny if you just bleep this, just so like it looks like I'm saying something
like really crazy.
I was gonna mention Laura's podcast, but I don't know if it's right to advertise another podcast.
Oh no, you can go listen to Tall Talk on
Laura Holt
with Laura Holt on Spotify. The guy in our living room
Bennett's girlfriend. Yeah.
The guy that the intruder, our home intruder.
Home invader.
Home invader Bennett girlfriend Laura.
Yeah.
Love her.
It's a
queen.
cool podcast, and I might be on that one
podcast. Too. So, go check it out if you didn't like this.
Actually,
you're looking for something else.
If I say this here that I might be on it, she'll feel more pressure to put me on it, and I want to go on that one.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Let's leave that in.
Yeah. Okay, so she didn't okay that at all, but I'm just gonna.
I'm sure it was fine.
She doesn't care. Okay. Well, that's been the inaugural. I'm gonna say it's the inaugural one, and then it's gonna be like not the first in the lineup.
Episode 9.
Yeah, but in terms of me.
In terms of our chronology of recording.
Yeah, my life at least,
yeah.
And my perception of the passage of time. This has been the inaugural episode. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host Runky. It's been great. Thank you, Quentin.
Thank you
for
being
being my first ever guest. And if you like my podcast, listen to the other episodes that I haven't recorded yet. Okay. Toodles.